Stop crying your eyes out in the dark over those cruel, manipulative people who smile directly into your face while holding a sharpened blade right behind your back. Stop drowning in the agonizing, silent heartbreak of wondering why the individuals you loved, trusted, and blindly helped the most turned around and orchestrated your absolute public humiliation and emotional ruin. Freeze your position right now, lock your eyes onto this screen with absolute focus, and do not dare to touch your device, because if you make the catastrophic mistake of swiping away from this high-priority judicial settlement alert in the next 3 seconds, you are making a conscious choice to walk out of the heavenly courtroom, throw away your legal rights, and let your toxic betrayers walk away completely free of charge. This is not a random piece of social media noise or a generic video designed for your passing distraction. This is an immediate, divine emergency broadcast authorized by the Supreme Chief Justice of the universe specifically for your wounded soul and your damaged reputation. Tonight, the invisible hand of Almighty God is stepping into your atmosphere to forcefully crack open and expose the dark, hidden plot of the exact person who has been trying to ruin your credibility, sabotage your relationships, and freeze your progress since the year 1990. If you close this video right now, you are dropping the cosmic charges, letting the spiritual guards stand down, and allowing the very people who broke your heart to escape their mandatory, terrifying day of reckoning tomorrow morning. Look at the brutal, unyielding reality of the emotional and social warfare that has been quietly eating away at your life for decades. You have noticed an unexplainable, recurring pattern where every time you begin to rebuild your confidence, find a genuine friendship, or step into a major career breakthrough, a sudden wave of toxic gossip, cruel rumors, or unexpected backstabbing emerges out of nowhere to drag your name back into the mud. You have spent years lying awake at midnight, replaying old conversations, swallowing your tears, and blaming yourself for being too kind, too naive, or too trusting, but I am here to completely interrupt that dangerous, self-destructive illusion with a fierce, absolute truth. Your social and emotional circle is under an active, highly coordinated spiritual siege. The individuals who hurt you were not just acting on human jealousy, they were being actively deployed as human weapons by the forces of limitation to ensure your spirit remains too crushed, too isolated, and too heavy to ever realize the immense global honor, wealth, and destiny that has been assigned to your name for the year 2026. They wanted to wear you out until you surrendered your crown out of pure emotional fatigue, but tonight, the invisible hand is violently turning the tables. Do not be fooled by the fact that your betrayers are currently living their lives completely unbothered, smiling in their social media pictures, and acting as if they never did anything wrong to you. In the United States, you are surrounded by a deeply surface-level, artificial culture that trains you to view justice purely through natural laws, human confrontations, and visible karma, entirely blinding you to the fact that the absolute, crushing vindication of an innocent heart is always finalized in the spirit realm first. The principalities of malice do not attack you out in the open, they operate in the dark, whispering malicious lies into the ears of people you respect, turning your closest allies against you, and placing permanent blocks on your influence so you remain completely locked out of your true potential. Have you ever noticed how a deep wave of suffocating chest tightness and social anxiety hits your body the exact moment you are supposed to walk into a room full of people? That is the spiritual shadow of betrayal activating its freezing mechanism, trying to make you hide in a corner so you never reclaim your authority. But tonight, the sovereign judge has stepped into your life to forcefully expose their hidden archives and demand an immediate, unconditional surrender. I have seen the whispers you could not hear. I heard the entities of betrayal, gossip, and character assassination meeting in the freezing dark of the unseen world, pointing at the blueprint of your destiny and drafting a terminal decree against your reputation. They laughed as they saw your kind, giving heart, boasting to one another, we will use their trust as a permanent weapon against them, we will turn their own kindness into a trap, and we will make sure their name is completely ruined so they never break out of isolation. We will strike them through the people closest to their heart, and they will never have the strength to stand back up. They thought their secret meetings, their quiet phone calls, and their hidden text messages were completely invisible to your eyes. They thought your daily distractions and deep emotional pain would keep you blind until the trap closed shut on your legacy forever. But the High Court of Heaven has just issued a supreme restraining judgment over your entire bloodline. The Creator of your soul has traced the exact origin of the malicious vibrations meant to sabotage your life, and He has ordered an immediate, crushing eviction of every dark assignment hovering around your name. Lock your eyes onto this truth, stand your ground, and prepare your spirit to witness the terrifying, full-scale execution of divine vengeance right now, while your natural mind is wrestling with the deep emotional trauma of past backstabbing. A swift, terrifying legal reconfiguration is taking place behind the closed doors of the celestial courts. I am here to expose the absolute, unyielding precision of the invisible hand. Right now, as you sit under the heavy, electrified atmosphere of this emergency judicial broadcast, Almighty God is penetrating the deep ancestral roots of your social timeline and the physical foundation of your tarnished reputation. He is not just giving you a temporary sense of emotional comfort or a brief moment of validation. He is executing a permanent, cosmic tables-turn maneuver. Deep within the unseen dimensions where your tears and your unrewarded loyalty have been documented since the year 1990, the sovereign judge is physically pulling out the ancient, heavy ledger of your relationships, the exact record that documented every single lie spoken behind your back, every stolen credit, and every malicious rumor that has kept your household isolated. The invisible hand is taking that entire history of emotional sabotage, blocking it from your future, forcefully freezing the peace and progress of your betrayers, and transferring their stolen luck directly to your name. Do not be fooled by the fact that the individuals who maliciously slandered your name have historically seemed to get away with their cruelty, climbing the ladders of success while you are left dealing with the freezing isolation of their aftermath. Those persistent imbalances are nothing more than the residual echoes of a broken earthly pattern that has just been legally liquidated by the highest authority in heaven. You have been conditioned by years of watching bad people prosper to believe that your household must inevitably accept the quiet defeats, the stolen opportunities, and the emotional anxiety injected by toxic enemies. But the invisible hand is completely interrupting that systemic injustice tonight. The dark, hovering blocks that your enemies placed over your professional path and social circle are facing an absolute, celestial arrest. The deterioration of your public honor is being stopped by divine decree, and your life is being structurally reprogrammed to handle an unprecedented, continuous influx of supernatural vindication. I have seen the whispers you could not hear. I heard the spirits of discredit and social sabotage gathering at the borders of your career and your closest relationships, verifying the strength of the limitations they laid down against your bloodline using the words of your betrayers. They pointed to the sleepless nights you spent crying over fake friends and the unexplainable trust issues that pop up inside your heart as permanent proof that your reputation was bound to stay restricted. They boasted to one another, "We will make sure this individual remains under a cloud of constant bad publicity. We will pass the same heavy burdens of isolation down to their children, and we will trigger a sudden public crisis that fractures their stability before they can ever build a lasting legacy." They thought your quiet tolerance of these repeating emotional struggles was your legal consent to their torment, but the sovereign Lord of the universe has stood up on your behalf, banged his supreme gavel in the courtroom of justice, and ordered an immediate spiritual cleansing of your record. The invisible hand is freezing the assets, the sleep, and the forward momentum of the very people who plotted your downfall, stripping away their unearned favors, and routing their entire store of fortune directly into your custody. Do not get fooled into expecting a slow, natural, typical restructuring of your social status that relies on human apologies, difficult conversations, or natural legal battles. Linear resolution is the slow, limited protocol of the natural world, designed to keep you spinning in circles until your energy is entirely spent. The execution of the tables turned operates on the immediate, explosive frequency of a sovereign divine override. Tomorrow morning, as the physical world resets for the year 2026, an unprecedented shift is going to manifest inside your relational reality. It will materialize as a sudden, shocking downfall of an old enemy's project, the total disappearance of that unexplainable, heavy dread that usually greets you when you enter social spaces, a profound willingness of old allies to realize the truth and return to your side, or a sudden change in your professional favor that leaves your natural mind completely paralyzed with relief. This atmospheric transformation is the undeniable materialization of the clean justice ledger. The universe is being forced to recognize that your name is no longer a target for backstabbers, but an impenetrable sanctuary of divine vindicator. I saw the secret meetings where the spiritual gatekeepers of malice plan to project their final wave of character assassination and emotional isolation onto your household. They had already drafted the blueprints to ensure that your mind would remain a place of low-level anxiety, always managing one relational crisis after another, and always too distracted by emotional defense to ever focus on the massive global wealth and creative breakthroughs that heaven is releasing to your name. They wanted your family trapped in a cycle of constant social panic. But the invisible hand has walked straight through their biological and physical blockades, wiped your relational records clean, and erected a blazing wall of fire around your property lines. Their legal authority to torment your heart has been permanently revoked, and your reputation has been stamped with the infinite protection of the King. You are moving away from the position of the worried, vulnerable defender and taking your seat as the sovereign gatekeeper of an armored legacy. There is an absolute, unbending judicial law operating within the highest governance of the spirit realm that decrees that whenever your name has been systematically slandered, your loyalty weaponized against you, and your mind heavily weighed down by a cloud of constant emotional betrayal, the ultimate relief will not be a slow, difficult process of human healing. It will be a sudden, explosive arrival of supernatural restoration. The long, exhausting seasons of you lying awake in the dark, replaying toxic conversations, and drowning in a silent panic about your damaged reputation, your broken trusts, and the terrifying fear that your household will always live under the shadow of isolation have officially reached their absolute expiration date tonight. I am here to build a fierce, indestructible certainty in your soul. The entire architecture of generational betrayal and malicious gossip in your life is being completely demolished by the apology or alert. Heaven has just authorized an immediate, high-velocity material settlement that will completely bypass every traditional timeline, every human mediator, and every slow-moving rule of the natural world. God is not just throwing you a small, temporary line of comfort to ease your heart. He is forcefully executing a mandatory 10x honor and influence restoration that will instantly flood your life with unshakable dignity and permanent vindication before the sun rises tomorrow morning. Do not be fooled by the current cold distance of those who walked away from you or the painful reality of the social blockades that have been suffocating your family line since the year 1990. In the United States, you are constantly conditioned by a highly rigid, secular culture to believe that restoring your name requires endless years of defending yourself, that you must settle for a life of guarded loneliness, and that your household must stay permanently restricted to a place of social rejection. But I am here to completely interrupt that systemic brainwashing with an uncompromising, absolute prophetic mandate. The invisible hand is currently compressing years of withheld respect, hidden allocations of favor, and unrewarded loyalty into a single, High-velocity interpersonal shift. I am delivering an explicit, time-stamped ultimatum to your spirit. Before 12 a.m. hits your clock tomorrow morning, a sovereign turning point will manifest in your immediate physical reality. You will receive an unprecedented piece of news regarding your social circle, an unexpected breakthrough text message from a broken-down enemy who has bypassed their pride, a shocking notification from someone who textually crawls back from your block list, or a sudden, devastating alert regarding the massive downfall and ruin of your chief betrayer's plans that will leave your natural human mind completely paralyzed with relief. The massive pain that has been crushing your shoulders will be completely obliterated in a single moment. I have seen the whispers you could not hear. I heard the spirits of public discredit and emotional sabotage celebrating the fact that your reputation had been under constant pressure. They stood over your life, holding up your moments of quiet despair, your forced isolations, and your tear-stained pillows as permanent trophies of their victory. They whispered directly into your subconscious that you were unlovable, that your children were destined to carry the same heavy weights of betrayal you carried, and that your household would always live at the mercy of envious backstabbers and sudden social setups. They set hidden traps to ensure that the exact moment your heart began to experience any real peace or expansion, a sudden rumor or an unexplainable relational problem would emerge from the shadows to drag your influence back to zero. But the sovereign Lord of the universe has stepped into the center of your relational timeline and shattered their plots to absolute dust. He has issued a supreme restoration of stature order, demanding an immediate, forced eviction of every toxic limitation and dark restriction hovering around your name. The high honor that was stolen from your family line is being forcefully routed back to your life this very hour. Do not get fooled into looking for a small, ordinary relational blessing that will only cover an awkward, passing greeting, clear a minor misunderstanding, or give your household a brief moment of breathing room. Low-level survival is the frequency of the slave, but this shift is designing the armored legacy. The invisible hand is dropping an overwhelming 10x double honor and elevation surplus into your custody to completely transition your status from a worried, vulnerable victim into a sovereign governor of a highly respected estate. The deep, heavy, ancestral trauma that has dictated your choices for decades, the constant fear of being exposed to mockery, the anxiety of entering new social environments, and the dread of an unstable, treacherous tomorrow, is being utterly consumed by this sudden influx of liquid authority and divine security. You are being aggressively extracted from the bracket of the isolated casualty and launched directly into the position of a relational anchor. The emotional and social damage of decades is being completely undone in a single midnight hour. In the United States, you are surrounded by an artificial culture that tells you that your social standing is entirely defined by your online metrics, your current networking circles, and your natural popularity. But I am here to command an absolute supernatural override of that broken Babylonian protocol tonight. There is an immediate, aggressive relocation of public favor happening in your atmosphere at this exact microsecond. The security, the clean vindication, and the massive relational breakthroughs that were legally and spiritually withheld from your household are being shaken loose by a celestial earthquake. The enemy thought he could wear you out by extending the emotional and social drought for years, but he did not realize that God was compressing the vital rain of your entire future into a single, explosive midnight cloud. That cloud is bursting over your life before the clock strikes 12 tomorrow morning. I have seen the whispers you could not hear, and I am deleting them with a loud, terrifying roar of this divine settlement. The adversary is absolutely terrified of what is about to hit your device and your life. He knows that the moment that dynamic notification or catastrophic alert regarding your enemy materializes, his ability to control your household through fear, anxiety, and desperation is permanently broken. He has kept your life under social pressure to keep your mouth closed, but by sending this apology or alert, Heaven is completely funding your ultimate vindication. The people who assumed you would always remain isolated, who dismissed your character, and who expected your reputation to stay ruined will be left completely speechless when they witness the immense, unexplainable sovereign surplus of respect and elevate that now covers your territory. They will look for a natural explanation, but there is no logic here, there is only the supreme authority of the king. Do not be fooled, this is the definitive turning point of your emotional and social existence. If you turn away from this word, you are choosing to stay bound to the slow, agonizing crawl of linear heartbreak and passing the vulnerability down to your next generation. But if you receive this aggressive restoration, you are authorizing the immediate release of the 10x payout of honor. The wall of fire is active, the enemy's assignment is cancelled, and the celestial transfer is live. The old identity of public shame is exiting your life forever. The absolute weight of divine favor is occupying your reality. The restoration is initiated. The codes are processing. The apology or alert is live. You are moving from the panic of the social shortage to the dominion of the overflow. The restriction is exterminated. The protection is final. I saw the secret meetings where they planned your final emotional ruin for the year 2026. But the invisible hand has already reversed the flow of the entire system. The text and the energy that are arriving before 12 a.m. cannot be blocked, cannot be reversed, and cannot be delayed by any human or demonic force. You are moving from empty-handed worry to permanent, unshakable vindication. The alert is coming. Your name is unlocked. Your 10x protected honor era is live. We have reached the absolute, dangerous flashpoint of this entire spiritual adjudication mission, the exact tactical threshold where the complete vindication of your name must be locked directly into your physical reality. You have felt the raw shock of the exposed traitor, you have witnessed the tables turn maneuver vaporize the ancient residue of malice inside your ancestral timeline, and you have stood under the roaring downpour of the apology or alert as the 10x honor surplus was redirected straight into your territory. But I am here to deliver an uncompromising, urgent sovereign ultimatum. In the high court of heaven, there is a strict, unyielding law of spiritual execution. A cosmic biological and relational restoration of a life requires the physical signature of the designated chain breaker. The massive ancestral records have been entirely cleansed on your behalf, and your reputation files have been cleared of the enemy's hidden tracking devices, but the final activation of this spatial boundary demands your immediate kinetic consent, to permanently lock down the enemy's terminal weapons and prevent them from launching a vengeful, sudden counterattack against your heart tonight. You must execute this justice execution command. Do not be fooled by the deceptive silence of the room you are sitting in or the seemingly mundane act of typing on a digital screen. In the United States, you are constantly surrounded by a deeply secular, surface-level culture that treats words as disposable vibrations and digital commitments as meaningless text, completely blinding you to the fact that your material and domestic destiny is secured in the unseen realm. But I am here to completely interrupt that modern blindness. Your digital response right now is not a casual engagement metric for an internet platform. It is your official spiritual signature on the celestial manifest of permanent personal vindication and safety. Right now, the invisible hand is standing over the central master console of your life's destiny, his finger hovering directly over the final release button. But the supreme authorization is currently paused. He is waiting for you to legally step forward and confirm your identity as the authorized guardian of your house. If you remain a silent, hesitant observer out of sheer carelessness or doubt, you are effectively signaling to the heavenly recorders that you accept the terms of the old oppression. You are letting your silence act as a legal waiver, allowing the forces of betrayal and public shame to reoccupy your destiny. I have seen the whispers you could not hear. I heard the spirits of public discredit and emotional sabotage gathering in a desperate, frantic circle at the very perimeter of your social circle. They are staring at your fingers on your device at this very split second. They are desperately whispering doubt into the atmosphere, praying that you will hesitate, praying that you will feel too cynical, too prideful, or too embarrassed to type your decree. They know with absolute certainty that if they can keep you silent for just a few more seconds, the spiritual transfer of 10x retribution will hit a catastrophic, irreversible bottleneck. Your massive relational breakthrough will be marked as refused and automatically sent back to a state of permanent isolation. The enemy will instantly regain legal custody of your files, reactivating their sabotage protocols, and leaving your loved ones trapped in the exact same cycle of exhaustion, chronic anxiety, and sudden backstabbing that broke your ancestors since 1990. But I am commanding you to completely smash their schemes right now. I am commanding you to log your confirmation into the heavenly database by typing in the comments immediately, justice served or tables turned. Do not get fooled. This is the definitive fast-forward mechanism for your family's dignity, stability, and restoration. The moment you type those words, you are performing an aggressive, spiritual takeover of the respect that was hoarded and stolen by the forces of malice. You are driving a legal stake into the spiritual database and declaring to every spirit of hereditary failure, every root of malicious gossip, and every demonic architect of sudden betrayal that their jurisdiction over your life is totally broken. You are trading your years of social suffering and fear of abandonment for his boundless, unfailing resilience. If you choose to ignore this explicit directive out of hesitation, you are choosing to wake up tomorrow morning to the exact same heaviness, the same empty energy reserves, and the same terrifying domestic tightness you have endured for months. Your miracle will remain frozen in a state of eternal suspension because the head of the house refused to sign the release form. I saw the secret meetings of the celestial registrars of life and legacy. They are standing at absolute attention right now, waiting for the frequency of your specific response. They cannot drop the millions of dollars in spiritual vitality and extended honor protection into a physical frame that refuses to declare its recovery. Your written command is the active key that shatters the enemy's freezing mechanisms over your life's atmosphere. When you type justice served, you are completely neutralizing the emotional and social blockades that have paralyzed your family's endurance, your mental clarity, and your long-term legacy goals. You are telling every force of external manipulation that their authority over your household timeline is entirely null and void. You are executing the sovereign decree of the king over your personal territory. In the United States, you are trained by the secular system to operate in a spirit of absolute doubt, to wait for physical sight before you dare to speak with authority. But I am here to command a total reversal of that broken protocol tonight. In the courts of the sovereign, your decree creates the materialization, your word forces the physical reality to realign. Your long-standing family panic has been a counterfeit security blanket that you have held onto out of sheer habit. Tonight, you must violently tear that blanket away. You must trade the comfortable, predictable rhythm of your struggle for the terrifying, explosive velocity of supernatural immunity. I am commanding a full-scale spiritual riot against your status quo. Type the word. Sign the letter. Release the flood of peace over your reputation. I have seen the whispers you could not hear, and I am deleting them right now with the roaring sound of this sudden release. The adversary is absolutely terrified of what happens when your fingers touch that keyboard. He knows that the moment you enter your code into the registry, his legal right to hold your character hostage is completely terminated. He has kept your life weak and worried for decades for one reason: to keep your mouth closed and your focus off your ultimate destiny. By publicly writing tables turned, you are officially taking your seat as a chief administrator of the kingdom's protection. You are forcing your files out of the enemy's execution center and triggering an instantaneous distribution of safety and life force. Do not be fooled. The invisible hand will never force his abundance into a life that remains silent and unaligned. He requires your active confirmation to drop the health and vindication of the Creator into your lap. This text is your literal digital passcode. Without it, the apology or alert remains a distant possibility rather than an immediate possession. But with it, the transfer becomes completely unstoppable. The release becomes irreversible. The safety becomes manifest. I saw the secret meetings of the registrars of glory. They are updating your life's honor balances and protection logs the very microsecond you execute this command. They are clearing the red ink of your family's struggles and inputting the massive sovereign surplus. You are moving from the panic of the ticking watch to the dominion of the master. The old frequency of decay is dead the moment you authorize its exit. The immense vault of life is live the moment you claim its contents. The command is issued. The registry is open. The pen is in your hands. Do not hesitate for a single second. Do not negotiate with your past domestic trials. Justice served. Type it with the heavy authority of a ruler. Tables turned. Write it with the absolute certainty of an owner. You are entering the sanctuary of the fully shielded. The invisible hand has pre-approved the payout of peace. Now you must finalize the delivery. I have seen the whispers you could not hear, and I am deleting them with the pulse of the eternal covenant. The freeze is broken. The sovereign vault of longevity and protection is open. You are safe in the authorization of the Almighty. You are secure in the treasury of the King. The vulnerability is exiting. The overflow of God is occupying your home. The confirmation is final. The agonizing, silent tears you have dropped onto your pillow in the freezing dark after being utterly abandoned and humiliated have officially been turned into divine artillery. The ancient, heavy ledger of betrayal that allowed the spirits of public shame, malicious slander, and toxic backstabbing to manipulate your social destiny since the year 1990 has been completely thrown into the blazing fires of the celestial court. Your exact name and reputation have been permanently marked in the golden registry as a fully cleared, hyper-defended territory of supernatural honor. As I look at you right now through the scanning lens of the spirit realm, the broken, isolated casualty who opened this broadcast drowning in the deep pain of emotional rejection no longer exists. You have been entirely restructured at a molecular and structural level. You are no longer a vulnerable target trying to defend yourself against cruel whispers. You are the sovereign governor of an armored legacy. But hear me with an absolute, chilling clarity, and let a holy, trembling terror seize your entire soul before this transmission cuts off forever. A newly opened vault of divine vindication and a freshly turned table are the absolute prime targets for a catastrophic, vengeful counterattack from the forces of malice. You are entering the definitive phase of the finality, and your assignment right now is the ruthless, unyielding lockdown of your honor. Welcome to the Vengeance Shield. Do not be fooled into thinking that the spirit of sabotage will simply pack its bags and let you walk in absolute social freedom, high influence, and victory without launching a brutal, desperate raid to reclaim its control over your heart. In the United States, you are surrounded by a superficial, casual digital culture that treats spiritual declarations as disposable background noise, encouraging you to feel a temporary emotional high and then carelessly swipe away. But I am here to interrupt that fatal negligence with a severe, chilling warning. The exact microsecond this video ends and your screen goes dark, the spirits of character assassination are going to deploy their most vicious trackers to find your exact coordinates. They are waiting for you to drop your guard. They are praying that you treat this historic judicial settlement as a common internet clip rather than an eternal, life and death covenant. I am commanding you to immediately build your protection circle. This circle, this absolute, unyielding commitment to lock your vindication into this sanctuary by hitting that subscribe button right now, is not a casual media option. It is your literal spiritual security lock over your new honor and permanent victory. If you choose to walk away from this altar thinking you can maintain this massive new velocity of justice on your own, you are signing a legal warrant for your own sudden emotional collapse. The moment you disconnect from this continuous broadcast and remain unsubscribed, the vengeance shield falls. The enemy will see your reputation completely uncovered, and he will immediately launch a ruthless, retaliatory spiritual attack against your relationships and your peace of mind. They will hack straight back into your social destiny, reintroduce the unexplainable betrayals, trigger sudden public humiliations, and shrink your life right back into the same miserable cage of isolation your ancestors spent decades crying inside of. You will find yourself right back where you started, watching your friends turn into enemies, watching the rumors spread behind your back, and lying awake at midnight drowning in the exact same emotional panic you thought was broken tonight. I have seen the whispers you could not hear. I see the thieves of destiny standing at the perimeter of your social circle at this very second, watching your hand on your device. They are counting on your pride. They are betting everything that you will be too distracted, too lazy, or too careless to lock your subscription into this fortress. And hear me closely, it breaks my heart to deliver this truth, but your negligence in this final hour does not just ruin your personal future, it deeply, profoundly grieves the heart of Almighty God. It causes the Creator of the universe to weep over your life out of sheer sorrow for your carelessness. Think of the agonizing, staggering cost that was paid to turn the tables on your betrayers tonight. Think of the Man of Sorrows, Jesus Christ, hanging on a brutal wooden cross, his body stripped completely naked, his flesh torn to ribbons, crying out in absolute agony as he took the full, crushing weight of your public mockery, your shame, and your bitter heartbreaks into his own innocent soul. He was despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrows acquainted with grief, so that your name could inherit an impenetrable, supernatural shield. He allowed his own heart to rupture and his own blood to pour onto the dirt so that your reputation could be lifted into high places. Every single stripe on his bleeding back was paid in full to purchase the ultimate vindication of your next generation. How dare you treat his agony like a cheap, passing entertainment clip? How can you look at the bleeding wounds of your Savior, who broke the courts of hell to defend your character, and then walk away from his fortress because you were too careless to stay connected to his altar? When you turn your back on this protection circle, you are looking directly into the weeping eyes of God and telling him that his son's sacrifice wasn't worth your commitment. You are making the Father hide his face in deep sorrow, watching his child willingly hand the keys of their newly vindicated life back to the very demons that tortured their lineage since 1990. Do not make him withdraw his hand of honor from your head. Do not force the spirit of justice to depart from your borders because you treated his holy covenant like a common game. Do not get fooled. This is your final ultimatum. This channel is your digital altar of multi-generational relational momentum, the precise spiritual fuel station where you are legally required to check in every single night to receive your daily justice updates. By hitting that subscribe button right now and activating your notification bell, you are arming the laser security system of heaven around your name, your credibility, and your social path. You are completely vandalizing the enemy's last hope of reclaiming your peace. You are sealing the walls of the vengeance shield. Hit the button. Lock the circle. Stand inside the fortress and refuse to move. Do not grieve the Father. Do not betray the Son. Stay connected, stay sovereign, and protect your honor forever. The cord is closed. The tables are turned. The vengeance shield is locked eternally.